because I think he does so well just molding into this character. I mean, he's done some like goofy characters and stuff before. This he does really good job actually going into this character.
Sorry, insert white cheese.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Matt, No Market Media.
And I'm Randall. Continuing down our path of 2021 films that we wish we'd seen in theaters, today Matt and I are talking all about Respect. Respect stars Jennifer Hudson, Forrest Whitaker, Marlon Wayans, and Mark Marone. It is directed by Lisa Tomei in her feature film debut. She's also directed episodes of The Walking Dead, Jessica Jones, and Mrs. Fletcher. But if you think you're going to like this, or you do like it, make sure to give this video a like. Those likes really help us out. And if you want to catch more, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And of course, ring the bell icon if you really want to be bugged every time we upload a new video.
Now, Respect is based on the life and career of the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. It had a $55 million budget. It's received average to above average reviews from critics, but it is well liked by audiences. The film and star Jennifer Hudson have been nominated for several awards, including a Golden Globe nomination for Best Original Song. Hudson also won Best Actress from the African American Film Critics Association.
Okay, hear me out. We just did Tammy Faye and the eyes of Tammy Faye, and I wasn't particularly great to it. And I know that Respect is a fairly safe, by the numbers biopic. It doesn't do anything crazy, but it doesn't do very much wrong, in my opinion, either. I was captivated by the performances for the most part, and I was captivated by the history, because I like history, and I really like the music.
Yep.
You know, this rhythm and blues, this era of rhythm and blues and soul is just unparalleled. You know, it's just something you can just listen to and love. So for me, watching this was my first impressions, really enjoyable.
Yeah, I would just check next to everything you said too. I thought this was good, even though it doesn't do anything, you know, like I said, really all that new and stuff. Performances, specifically, I think 3 actors and characters in this, I think did really good in this movie. And yeah, the music, I mean, it's a biographical, you know, movie about a musician. This movie lets the music shine, and that's what we all know, because it's, you know, music that people love all around the world. So yeah, hits on all those. It makes it a good film. All right, so plot and story elements about this movie. This movie's really taking a look at, I would say, like Aretha's like challenges from like a kid and like things that happened to her early in life and how that's impacted, you know, her, and, you know, some barriers she had to overcome to get to, you know, the superstar, you know, that she is and stuff too. Also shows a big impact on, I guess I would say, how much impact the men in her life have had, and like the obstacles that they put in her way, you know, to get over. So a basic story of this is, you know, meeting challenges, overcoming demons, you know, fighting those obstacles and being a stronger yourself to be able to reach your goals.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's not a ton of plot. I mean, you pretty much covered like what's going on throughout the story, but it does such a job of following her like life story and sticking close to the music. I think that's the key for this plot. It stays close to what we need to do to get to Queen of Soul, you know, Aretha, versus just you know, here's some stuff that happened in her life, you know?
Yep.
It's like, no, here's all the stuff that helped her, that she overcame to become this sensation superstar that she really, really was. And again, I loved the music, so like for me that only elevated the small amount of plot that was going on, because there's just not a huge like arc, really. It's just, here's all these things.
Yep.
They do it with music, and I like that.
One thing I like about this movie too, it is a bit longer, I would think too. Maybe that's kind of a downside. I didn't feel like it was too long because I was enjoying myself through the movie. But I think this movie, like, each scene has like a purpose in that journey and that building stuff. I don't really think we have a whole lot of like throwaway scenes and stuff. Like, each of these scenes is building to something else, telling that story in a way, building our characters, helping us better, understand, who the characters are, why they are, and why people act the way they do around these characters and stuff too. Because we have, some like, other, minor people or whatever that we could get to, or I should say minor characters or whatever in this thing, but it shows that their importance in like building, our Aretha Franklin life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Important people in her life, even if they're not necessarily important characters in this movie, that they're still there, for a reason. The biggest thing that I think some people who are watching this might not like is it doesn't go full into some of the deeper, darker things and parts of Aretha's life. It stays safely away from them.
Yep.
It's, her early pregnancies. It's like, oh yes, it's on screen.
Yep.
But then it's kind of like, it's, it's there. But they don't go there. Her troubles with alcoholism are kind of there, but they don't dive into it like they did with Johnny Cash and his drug use in Walk the Line. They stay safe. But they stay safe inside of the comfort of Aretha Franklin's music, which was the most important thing to tell.
Yep.
So I'm okay with it. Like, the plot doesn't go deep and dark and down, but it tells the most important things.
Yep. I wonder too, like, granted, Aretha Franklin died before this movie came out, kind of thing, but I think she had a pretty active role in setting this movie up and stuff too. Now, granted, Walk the Line also came out after, Johnny Cash passed away, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I don't know that Johnny Cash really had much impact, or, what I'm saying, like, hands-on say about what was going to be the movie. So maybe, I'm just spitballing, this could be completely off or whatever, but maybe that's why we see that kind of, like, difference, why we might not go into the as deep into the darker side of things were with this movie.
But they probably wanted to avoid as much like rated R as they could. And if you got into the fact that Aretha Franklin was a chain smoking like alcoholic,
you're
just gonna get slapped with a rated R movie,
Yep.
Which Walk the Line's rated R.
Yep.
So yeah, it's not that kind of movie. But it's okay. Like I said, it does other things in the plot that are more important than talking about that. All right, Jennifer Hudson does a fantastic job as Aretha Franklin. I love it. She does, most of her own singing because she is a singer. All right, that's fine. Good. I'm not going to talk about her very much because you said, and you were right, there's 3. I don't know who your other 2 are. Jennifer Hudson does great. But I think Forrest Whitaker does a commanding performance as her father.
Yep.
And Marlon Wayans does a great job as her first husband.
Those are the 3 that I had too. And it's kind of interesting too because Marlon Wayans isn't throughout this film as much as Forrest Whitaker. I mean, I think Forrest Whitaker's in like the beginning and we see him more at like the end and a little bit in the middle. But really, Marlon Wayans, we only see him for like the first, I don't know, like 2/3, maybe half 2/3 of this movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
We don't really see him at the end of this movie. And I think he has a big impact on it.
I mean, his character, the person he actually plays, Ted, real person, really Aretha Franklin's first husband, and he was a womanizer. He did beat, Franklin. And again, they don't dive into it as deep as they could. They just put it on screen and let you know. And it's like, well, no, in real life, that was an actuality for her. And, he just does a really good job, like, in the early scenes, wooing her, being just a gentleman, the perfect gentleman, in fact, calls her a cab and instead of like taking her to the house and, besmudging that and everything. But, then his character shows his more slimy side, shows his, worser proclivities. And it's just so well acted.
Yeah.
Basically.
He does a really good job. I actually, when watching it was like, you know what? I didn't really see like the cast list and stuff. Like Forrest Whitaker, I knew, Forrest Whitaker and Jennifer Hudson. I didn't realize that Wayans was actually playing Ted because I think he does so well just molding into this character. I mean, he's done some like goofy characters and stuff before. This he does really good job actually going into this character. And like you're talking about some of like the infidelity stuff too. I mean, That's part of the reason why, Aretha Franklin's father and mother, separated, like her father's like infidelity, and they don't really touch on that.
They don't.
They just maybe like reference it a little bit in passing later on, but it's not a big, like focal point or whatever of this one.
Yeah, they might be even a little bit harsh on her father in this film, like as compared to like the real life counterpart, at least what I've been able to like look up about it. But as far as the script is concerned, as far as everything is like these characters written, Forrest Whitaker does a great job.
Yep.
I mean, like what he's given and what he's has to do in this role is very well portrayed on screen.
Yep.
And I don't know, it's one of those things where it's like you just, with Jennifer Hudson and with Forrest, you get the feeling that they really threw themselves into these characters by watching it. And I'm happy about that. Whenever I see like, no, this person really cares about portraying this person, the real person. Which, not to throw it in under the bus again, I didn't necessarily always get that from like Andrew Garfield and Jessica Chastain in The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Like we said in that review, caricatures.
Right.
Whereas like, no, these feel like real people.
Yes. Totally. Yeah, I mean from the beginning on, like you like going back on that on Tammy Faye and stuff, we said at the beginning, they really didn't feel real, like you were saying. This movie, it does. These feel like, real people. Specifically those three, Jennifer Hudson, Marlon Wayans, and Forrest Whitaker. They feel like real people that they're portraying in this movie.
And this cast is extremely well, like, rounded out, too. These are just, like, the three, like, big mains. The people who are playing her sisters, they feel like her sisters, The people who play the surrounding cast, like her Mima, that is a really, really well-played part, because it's just like, she's just, the matriarch of the family. She takes care of people, She doesn't even have that many lines, but you feel it like, yeah, that's a lot, like, historically speaking, how that character would play out.
Yep.
It's done really, really well. So there's not really a bad acting, put up for any of the stuff that's going on in this film.
Yep. I think a lot of those secondary characters or side characters, they're really important in showing like how they help, like build our Aretha in this movie, kind of thing or whatever. I mean, even, Martin Luther King Jr., I mean, just showing how that like kind of helped, inspire her Activision and stuff, which, this movie...
You said Activision.
I know, Activision, not the video games studio or whatever. I guess say, call to action and everything too, for, human rights and, basic, liberties for African Americans and stuff. I mean, it really shows as, important part of, Aretha Franklin and stuff in this movie. And I think it did it pretty well. All right, genre aspects, biographical drama. We basically went over it. I mean, a big part of it is, does this feel like telling of a real person? And we kind of went over this with the characters. Yeah, the characters make this feel real. Some of the story, Aretha Franklin is a well-known person and stuff. And this movie did have aspects that I really didn't know about Aretha Franklin and stuff. So I think if you're looking on that, like a movie about a real person that tells you like their story and stuff you didn't know about them before, I think, it succeeds at that.
Yeah, too often we see superstars, we see stars, and unless you're just really into this person, whoever it is, you don't know their struggles. You don't know like all the things that it took to get where they are. And Aretha has this really fantastic, tragic, but fantastic story about all of the things that she struggled to get to superstardom, basically. Like, kind of like talent alone's not enough. She needs to be pushed to really get to that level. Yep. And all of the events that happen in her life, the really important events, are in this film.
Yep.
They might not be there in equal portions, but as a biopic, it does a very good job giving you what you need to know about this person, and kind of, from some perspective, educating people who don't know anything. Now, like all biopics, there's some drama and some switcheroos and stuff like that, but this one sticks pretty decently close, from my understanding, to real events.
Right. And I think too, we were saying like, hey, this doesn't feel like we're really seeing something like all that new. I mean, we already talked about like Walk the Line. I mean, it does follow a little bit of that formula where both Johnny Cash and Aretha Franklin have this tragic event that happens early on, and that's what kind of contributes to that vice or whatever. Johnny Cash, like the pills and everything. Aretha Franklin, the alcohol and stuff. Like it doesn't just like say like, hey, they had an addiction problem and the addiction problem really hurt them. There's a deeper layer, to that kind of thing. And, that's basically like their addiction is kind of like a symptom of, their kind of trauma that they experience at a younger life kind of thing. How it affects like them and their view of themselves.
All right. For me, didn't see that coming. I could do this for every biopic.
Mm-hmm.
No holds bar. If a story's worth telling, you don't need to change things.
Yep.
Stop changing things that don't matter. So, Aretha Franklin, she was 18 when she got married to her first husband,
mm-hmm.
and then moved to New York.
Mm-hmm.
Her dad didn't take her to New York. Like, it misses, like, why would you change that? It doesn't affect the story.
Mm-hmm.
So, for me, for all of the things that this story does get right, it's like, why'd you change that date? Why did you change this? Why did you, do things that don't matter to the story you're trying to tell?
Yep.
Yeah, so I didn't see that coming.
The only thing I can think of, too, is maybe they just built the father up early and basically are using that, because they do make a comparison to, like, Ted and Aretha Franklin's father, because that's like her sister saying, like, you gotta get away from Ted.
Yeah.
Because Ted is just like Dad.
Yes.
And that's why, some of the vices that Dad has is what Ted has, and that's why you need to leave. So that's the only thing I can think of why they did it, but I mean, don't really change it. The thing that I didn't see coming, and this is me just didn't know much about the history stuff, didn't realize that Aretha had her first kid when she was 12. I didn't realize she was, like, that young when she had her first kid and stuff, too. And this is a movie that it doesn't really come out and say, when it happens. They don't really have that reveal until kind of like later on in the film and stuff too. Like it kind of hints at, something bad happened, to Aretha and kind of thing. But I just didn't see that coming. I guess I just didn't realize that it happened kind of thing. So yeah.
You know what's even crazy? The movie doesn't tell you. She had 2 kids by that same guy,
mm-hmm.
Like young, real
mm-hmm.
young. So that's something that like the movie gets right about real life. It doesn't go out of its way to tell you, oh yeah, she's got 2 kids. You just see them on screen for like a couple of scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get those kids in there,
Yep.
And yeah, that could have. I mean, could you imagine that trauma at that young of an age? Yeah.
Well, I think, too, this movie plays on as, how that event makes her feel about herself. Because that's really the thing, is, like, how she thinks about, like, herself kind of thing. So,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it does this well.
Yeah, it does it well. All right, so at the end of the day, I mean, you probably got this, I liked this movie. Mm-hmm. I liked watching it. I liked the music from it. I liked the acting in it. And I recommend that you go watch it if you are into biopics, especially if you're into music biopics.
I think this is a good movie. Even if, like the structure and everything isn't anything new. It's still a movie. It was entertaining. I think it was informative and stuff. And I think, like we were saying before, one of the biggest things is it actually lets the music shine stuff. Some of my favorite scenes in this movie is when they're making like the songs, some of her hit songs and stuff, and you just see like the inner workings on how they're like changing and everything to get to that good song.
Yep.
The music is so good, let the music shine, and this movie does it. And it, part of the reason why it works well for me.
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, I love the parts in this movie, the music parts, where not that they're just working up to it,
mm-hmm.
where like you can see like, all right, here she's singing these songs about people. These are the events that really push her towards it. And I'm gonna have think in my head for a while now, like, because A, it's a good song, and B, It's like, oh, okay, now I get it. I understand better now because of this movie.
Yep. What do you guys think? Have you guys seen Respect? Let us know in the comments below. Also, be sure to check out some of our other reviews. We have other new movie reviews, flashback movie reviews, take a look at TV shows, and we have deeper dive discussions.
We also have a Facebook page. Make sure to go check us out over there if you haven't already. We post on Facebook the day before what's coming out next on YouTube. But if you don't have a Facebook, it's okay. Just put us on your calendars. We have new releases every Monday and Thursday. For now, I'm Randall here with No Market Media. See everyone next time.
And I'm Matt. Have a good day, everyone. Next time on No Market Media. Please consider checking out some of our other videos.